Okay, so we're back on the other end of the field here in Yale, looking at another study that the Virginia Cotton Board has funded. And this is what we call our sulfur timing and rate study. This is a study that we've had ongoing now. This is the last year that we'll do it. This is a third year study where we're looking at sulfur application timing, rate, and then also source. So here behind me we have our plot, and if you can look at the difference between the second row and the third row, you'll see that canopy's less dense, it's more yellow. This is our no nitrogen sulfur check plot. So no nitrogen or sulfur has been applied to this plot here in Yale. Again, this field is following peanuts, so we've had land plaster application the previous year. So we will give a 10-pound sulfur credit to this cotton in terms of what we apply. So our recommendations are apply 20 pounds of sulfur right now, and we apply that sulfur in the same manner we apply nitrogen. So about 25–30% at planting, the remainder at side dress. Following peanuts, we recommend cutting that sulfur application down by 10 pounds or in half. So you would only apply 10 pounds of sulfur to this field instead of your normal 20 pounds. So we have our no nitrogen sulfur check, and as we move across the field, if we could pan, get a shot of the whole field. As we move across this field, we have different rates, and our timings and our rates are, our timings are at planting, all the sulfur put out at planting, all the sulfur put out at side dress, and then a split application where we're putting 50% of our sulfur out at planting, 50% of our sulfur out at side dress. Our rates are 0, 5, 10, and 20 pounds of sulfur in this study. This field, we don't see a lot of sulfur differences here because of the soil type and because of the previous crop, but we want to have data to back up our assumptions about following cotton behind peanuts. We do see somewhat of a nitrogen rate, even though this is a fairly high yielding nitrogen check plot or no nitrogen plot behind us. Again, following peanuts, more mineralizable nitrogen, heavier soil type, more mineralizable nitrogen in the soil profile. We have this study we're going to look at again here in a second at Tidewater AREC following corn, again on a little bit heavier soil type, and we're going to evaluate these nitrogen rates and sulfur rates at that location as well. This is the third year of the study, the final year. We have 6 locations over 3 years of data here. What we have found is on sandy texture soils, low organic matter, that following corn or soybeans where no sulfur was applied the previous year, it's advantageous to put your sulfur out at least 50% out earlier. We get better early season growth, better uptake early season, and that gets those roots established to get down into a subsoil where we can access more of that subsoil sulfur that's sitting there that has been leached out of that top 6 to 12 inches of soil. So our recommendations on sulfur might change as a result of this study, but we're still figuring out how to manage nitrogen and sulfur to maximize lint yields moving in to cotton in Virginia. This variety here is Delta Pine 1646, and it's been 1646 at every site the previous 3 years. So stay tuned, and we'll go look at some the study at Tidewater. Thank you. All right, so we're here at the Tidewater location for the sulfur timing and rate study, and I'm standing again in the check plot here for this location. This is behind corn. So no gypsum application in this field last year. This was a corn field. You can see the cotton's much shorter. That's due to rainfall, but this is also limited nitrogen and sulfur in this plot. So we always put a check plot or a control plot in here to see if we have actual response to sulfur or to nitrogen at the location. So this is our check plot. This is the variety again, 1646. You're going to notice that this variety, and if we pan across the field over here, this is 4550. We actually have put an early shot of picks on 4550 in this field, whereas in this study we did not. In the S timing study we have not put picks. We put 1 shot this week of picks once we got rainfall. This was a little bit behind in terms of development than the 4550 is planted a day later, but just because of 1646 early season growth compared to 4550, it did not get an early shot of picks or growth regulator, but we did, we left that out because once we started getting dry in the month of July, I did not want to stress this site But this is the S timing, so we have different sulfur rates, different timings, different applications. As we move down, we'll get out of the check plot, and now we're in the sulfur check. So this has had nitrogen, no sulfur. You can see nitrogen is a limiting nutrient here. Much more growth. We're putting on some fruit, but this cotton still got a ways to go. That drought really hurt it, and so now it's starting to grow out. We don't see a lot of differences out here yet. I think as we put a fruit load on this crop, we're going to see more and more differences in this field. However, being on a little bit more productive soil, we might not see the sulfur rate because this soil's got a little bit higher organic matter, so a little bit more sulfur mineralization out here. But again, I think we're going to see decent yields. The drought has hurt us in this field. This cotton had been wilting since about the first week of July and wilting daily. But this is our second location for the Virginia Cotton Board of the sulfur timing rate study that we've been doing for the past 3 years. We're looking to get some interesting data on sulfur uptake and early season and total sulfur uptake when we come back in and sample this at first crack bowl. But we're very excited about this study and finishing up and providing sulfur data to Virginia cotton producers. Thank you.